Okay, guys, quick video on Venn diagrams. So a Venn diagram can be used to illustrate the sample space of a chance process involving two events. So if we needed to show a complement of an event in a Venn diagram, it would look much like this. So to put it in terms of an actual example, let's go back to the probability of not a multiple of 3. And so there are 4 numbers on a die that are not multiples of 3, and there are 2 that are. Okay. In an event where you would have 2 mutually exclusive events, there is no commonality between mutually exclusive events, and so there would not be an overlap in the 2 events in your Venn diagram. And probably one of the more important things is some new notation here. So an intersection is shown with this symbol, okay? And that symbol is red with the word either intersection or and would work, okay? So the intersection of events A and B, it would be noted as A intersection B, is the set of all outcomes in both events A and B, okay? And so if you're looking for the and, you're looking for the intersection or the overlap between the two. Okay. And then a union. So the union of events A and B is going to be shown with that symbol. That symbol is actually going to be read as an or. So is the set of all outcomes in either events A or B. And so everything included in both circles, including their overlap, is spoke about here. Okay, and now for an example. So in an apartment complex, 40% of residents read USA Today. Only 25% read the New York Times. 5% of the residents read both papers. Suppose we select a resident of the apartment complex at random and record which of the 2 papers the person reads. Construct a Venn diagram to represent the outcomes of this chance process. So I'm going to first start with maybe a little bit of labeling. So let's call this one A, and we'll say that that's the USA Today. And we'll call this one B, and that's the New York Times. Okay. I'm going to start with the overlap here. So the overlap was 5%, so I'm going to show that with a 0.05. So then you had 40% of the residents read USA Today. Well, 5 of those are accounted for. So we'd have to, or 5% of those are accounted for. So we'd have to do 40% minus those 5%, so 0.35 here. Let's see, 25% read the New York Times. You already accounted for 5% who also read USA Today, and so 20% for New York Times only. Okay, and then of course we have people who read neither. And so remember that with probability, everything has to add up to 1, and we don't have a total of 1 yet, so let's just take care of that. So 35 and 5 is 40, and 20 is 60, and now to find its complement, 1 minus 60 is 40%, and so it's 0.40 on the outside. Okay, and number 2, we had to find the probability that the person reads at least one of the 2 papers. So the probability that they read at least one of the 2 papers would be, I'm going to kind of go here. Let me just Okay, that's better. Okay, so what we're looking for is the union of A and B. Okay, and so that would be the probability of A plus the probability of B minus the probability of A, um, A, oops, and B. Okay, so the probability of A is 0.40. The probability of B was 0.25. Okay, and the probability that it was both was 0.05. Okay, which is 0.60. So the probability that they read, oops, that's getting messy. I'll just rewrite that, 0.60. So the probability that a person reads at least one of the papers is 60%. Okay, and so now let's take a look at 3 down here. Okay, so find the probability that the person doesn't read either paper. Okay, and so we have pretty much, we're looking for the intersection of both complements. Okay, but I don't think it really has to be more complicated than that, or as complicated as that. I think we could really just acknowledge that we need to find the complement of the union of the two. Okay, there we go. And so we already did this in the last problem. That was 0.60, and so the probability that the person doesn't read either newspaper would be 0.40, or 40%. Okay. So here's a check your understanding. You could do it fairly quickly. I think you will be okay with it. Use this problem to kind of model for this example, and then you can check, or you know what, we'll check our answers together in class. Okay, bye.